All right, hi. Quick introduction to Grug Notes. This is new for the end of 2025. Um, this will be a short one, just an intro to the UI, how it all works. There's certainly some things we can go into deeper, but I want to get you started. So when you log into Grug Notes, this is exactly what you see. On the left side is this timeline. Everything is based around these idea of blocks, which is just a plain text file essentially. And by default, there's a daily notes. I call these a prompt. So whatever you see by default up there is a prompt, and it's a prompt for you as a user. So I generally just put whatever notes I want to take for during the day into here. Sometimes I want to add other things, or if I have a long meeting with a specific person, we can you could add a totally different prompt for that person, and then type all your notes here. So that's the timeline. If you scroll up, it goes into the future. If you scroll down, it goes into the past. There's a little home button to go back to today. And on the right side, we have a sidebar. This by default has a scratch pad, these two little emojis here. These are all also prompts. Again, like a lot of GrugNotes is based around the idea of a prompt, which essentially is a key or a topic or a category. It's all sort of, or a tag. They're all sort of what we call prompts. And the scratch pad is set up by default to have some specific behaviors, I guess, in that it will stay persistent. So like tomorrow, everything's copied over, so it's the same. And it's set up to have special behaviors. So if you right click on one of these, it'll cross out whatever line, and tomorrow that'll be removed. So I use it for basic to-do lists or like weekly planning, stuff that I want sort of like top of mind. By default, this is just a bunch of information. You can essentially delete all that. And what else? These little guys are also defaults in the settings. So if you have something to do, go paddling, and if you click this, these buttons always pop up on the left. They will basically toggle through these emojis, and that basically, those are tags to those prompts essentially. And I don't know if this will sync real time, but essentially that'll compile backlinks to anything marked with that emoji. So I use it for sort of to-do lists, or if you have something every day that you want to remember or follow up on, you can use that, and then it'll always pop up in this list. And if you mark it done, it should show up in that one as well. So it's sort of is a way to move things between different lists essentially. The other big thing about GrugNotes is that we auto tag sort of names of people and companies. So go to the park with my daughter. So it'll automatically tag her. And if you were to click on that, it goes to her prompt page, and anytime she's mentioned, it will get compiled onto this page. And so that goes for every person. So over time, as you put in notes, a list of people will get automatically compiled, and all of your notes about that person will be organized in that way. Same thing with companies. So as you mention companies in your notes, it automatically gets organized. This is an empty account, so not much interesting in here. The other things about basic UI, again, like everything is sort of organized around dates as well. So your daily notes, again, everything kind of shifts down as time goes by. If you want to navigate by date, you can do so up here, and that'll go to the specific day. Um, any so a little bit more on the prompt idea. In a way, it's organized a lot like Wikipedia. So if you can do manual linking, just because we mentioned the name John. So that'll actually link to a John page, which will also have all of the blocks associated with John um, on that page. So if you, it's a little bit confusing. If you click the help button, there's some further explanations on all of that. This is a sidebar, so you can add favorites and whatnot. People and companies are actually, I call them data types. So if you want to add another database like this, it is possible if you make a prompt and you set it as a data type. So every block has a little settings button. There's not a whole lot in there. You can publish things once you sign up. Every prompt has its own settings too. So if you want every note with John to have a template or something, you can you can automatically set up templates for whatever prompt you're working on. But again, this is the prompt settings. Okay, speech to text. That's actually a big one. I use it. It's really good at short form entry. So there's this little button up here. You press it, and basically anything you say now will get transcribed and put in whatever block you're focused on, or it'll go to daily notes by default. So that's pretty quick. There are some other buttons here. This will do multi-user transcription where it separates who's talking. I wouldn't rely on this too heavily for long form meetings just yet. It's really good at short form stuff. There is this cool AI edit feature. So let me get off of that. And you can basically like say whatever you want. It'll try and edit that current block. Can you delete the last paragraph of this text? And it'll do stuff like that. So I use it for like I'll transcribe like a list of things I need to buy, and then I'll tell that to rewrite it as a list, and it makes it easy to email or basic things like that. There's also this search box. You can search. Do I have anything about my daughter in my notes? And it'll put that there and automatically search. I don't actually have anything in here, so it may or may not do anything. But it basically does a semantic search, and it'll basically find anything that you have in your notes pretty effectively. You can ask, if you ask it a question, it'll do sort of retrieval augmented generation and sort of give you back an answer based on your notes. That's taken a while, so let's just search my daughter here. And it'll come up with stuff. Let's see if it can guess who R is. Who is R? So with question, it'll actually basically read your notes and try to come up with an answer. Only really becomes useful once you have enough information in here. There's a menu button over here with all the basics: import, exports, more settings. And help is down in this corner. Subscribe when you're ready, and most importantly, there is this chat with your notes feature down here, and there is actually more and more things. There's too many features. This is the same thing as that audio edit feature. It's basically for very quick things. If you want to say like put these in a list or anything based like that, this is like a fast model for editing that block. Again, that's on the bottom right here. This chat panel is basically uses more state-of-the-art models. So ChatGPT, we have Gemini, and we have a Kimi K2 currently. But I try and basically keep these as 3 up-to-date models that are good for different things. The speed model is good for most things. It's really good at creative writing. And then the Grug model is ChatGPT. I find it amazing at athletic training programs. So if you want to train for a marathon or a paddling event or whatever it is, it's shockingly good, and we'll sort of try and pull out. It'll ask you questions about what you're trying to do and put together a good plan. And it does actually pretty well for like long form things. So if you want to train for 6 months and you want a detailed plan that's has progressive overload and all that stuff, it does a surprisingly good job. So even if you already do have your own programs, it's worth sort of, you can put it in here, and it's a good experience. Gemini is also really quite amazing. So often, if I was making a good program, I would do it with ChatGPT, with a Grug model, and then later on review it, start a new chat and review it. You can get feedback from the Gemini model. And again, these are just, you can choose your model as you go. So these are old chats. Basically, it can sort of read through your notes. It can search your notes, and it won't ever like edit your notes directly. It'll generate a block, and then you can apply it into your notes. So I use it for like recipes and whatnot, like stuff like that. And then of course, athletic training programs, that's kind of my favorite use case. But if you, depending on what you write in your notes, it can also help with that sort of thing. So if you jot down notes and you want to summarize things or write a letter or something like that, it's very happy to help. Anyways, you can, again, type anything you want, play with it, experiment. If you've seen, we do have this big brain agent. Basically, that's a specialized workflow that allows us to do those longer generations for like a 6-month training program. So if you just ask it to help you plan a long-term thing, whatever it is, it'll probably toggle that, and you'll see it pop up. And sometimes these longer generations will take 5+ minutes to generate. So you got to be patient with it, but it tends to be pretty darn good. Anyways, this video is quite long, so I'm going to wrap it up. If you have questions, email me, ask it on the YouTube. Yeah, thanks for taking a look.